can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. We are back for another preview. It's me, Elliot, and I'm joined by Niall. This is a preview for the WBC interim world title fight between the undefeated puncher Vergil Ortiz Jr. against the experienced Erikson Lubin. Vergil Ortiz with a record of 23-0, Lubin with a record of 27-2. Niall, good to be joined by you as always. I think a fairly quiet weekend of boxing for this one, but this one definitely one of the highlights. Give it to me. What are your thoughts? Give us your thoughts on the fight and what you think is going to happen, please.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's a serviceable fight, I suppose, if that's the word. Erikson Lubin, I think he's a very good fighter. Bounced back well from his first Charlo loss. Of course, he was very very hyped going into that one. Lost that. And then bounced back and then lost to, I believe, Sebastian Fundora was his second loss, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think he's a good fighter. He's quick, clever boxer. And then Vergil Ortiz, there's not really enough superlatives you can use for Vergil Ortiz so far. He's been fantastic. So yeah, I think it's a good test for Ortiz, but I think it's one that he will pass. I think Lubin will cause him problems early on, but I just think what it's been the case for Erikson Lubin's career so far is that his ceiling might just be kind of fringe world class, not quite good enough to beat the world champions or the elite of the division. And I think Vergil Ortiz is that. So I think Ortiz will get it done in a relatively competitive but decisive decision for me. You're muted there.
Apologies, apologies.
Right.
I think some people were maybe a bit disgruntled by by this fight, but I actually don't. I don't think it's necessarily. Don't think it's necessarily a bad fight. I just think people want to see bigger fights happening in this division because it's got so much potential now. Can I ask you now, Why do you think it's going to be a points win? Ortiz stopped nearly everybody he's faced. Well, how come you're going for a points win?
I just think, he has stopped nearly everyone he's faced, but I just think going through the levels, I don't think that's gonna kind of be maintained. We've seen it against Boachuk, um, going the distance. Madrimov was a fantastic performance. That one. That one proved to me, the Madrimov fight, that he was more than just power. Because I actually thought Madrimov was going to win that fight. I thought he was the better boxer, and I thought that was kind of going to see Madrimov through. But the way Ortiz adjusted to that during the fight, made the adjustments to get it done, he proved to me that he's more than just power. And as I say, Lubin, although he has been stopped, I just think he'll be in a bit of a I don't I think it might be kind of harsh to say last chance saloon, but I think he knows that he needs a career best performance here against Vergil Ortiz, and
Mm.
yeah, I just think he'll be good enough to see it out. Would it necessarily shock me if Ortiz stopped him? Definitely not. It definitely wouldn't surprise me, but I think he'll get it done on the cards for me.
No, brilliant. No, look, we'll see what happens. I think it's a decent test for Vergil Ortiz. I'm looking forward to it. No, bit of a random one. As I mentioned, there's a lot of potential for good fights to happen in 2026. So I hope I'm not here talking to you in a year's time saying there's a lot of potential for these big fights to happen in 2027, but we'll see. We'll remain hopeful for next year. What fight appeals to you more? This is for the interim belt. What fight would appeal to you more? Vergil Ortiz to fight the full champion, Sebastian Fundora, or Boots Ennis, who's not officially a world champion this way either. But what fight, if you could pick, what fight would you rather see?
For me, it has to be Boots. It has to be Boots Ennis for me. I know there is talk about that happening. But some parties saying who signed the contract and who hasn't. But I just think stylistically, it's a phenomenal fight. It really is. You've got the aggression of Vergil Ortiz and the boxing of Bill Tennis, although Bill Tennis is aggressive himself, I just think it'll mesh so well. But that's not, that's not kind of saying I wouldn't want to see the Sebastian Fundora fight. I've said so many times that 154 is probably my favorite division in boxing. It's just so stacked at the minute, and now you've thrown Bill Tennis in. I just think it's a really outstanding fight. But yeah, stylistically, for me, Ennis Ortiz is the one. I'd love to see.
Look, yeah, absolutely. Who would you side towards somebody in that fight now? It would be one of the biggest fights to happen in 2026, undefeated versus undefeated. Both fighters, you could say arguably around in their prime now. Surely next year's the perfect time to make it. I'm not saying I'm not going to force you to, but do you side with somebody, if anybody, if that fight gets made?
I can never bet against Boots Ennis. Boots Ennis he's my guy. I love him. He's a phenomenal talent, and I'd pick him to beat absolutely anybody at 154. Now I think he's that good, and I think we'll even see the better of him. I know people slagged off Lima as an opponent, but Lima is not a bad fighter. I just think people expect him more, understandably of Boots' choice of opponent, but Lima isn't a bad fighter, and he just blew him away, made him look like he doesn't belong on the same planet as him. Yeah, I think 154 now will be an even better weight, and I think he stopped Vergil Ortiz, to be quite honest. I think, and I'm not saying he'll blow him away or he'll blast him out. I think it'll be a highly competitive fight, but I think accumulation will lead to a Boots and a stoppage late on, and that. But it's a very good fight. It really is a very good fight. I think Vergil Ortiz, out of all the super welterweights, gives Boots his hardest test, I think. But I'd go for a Boots stoppage late on. But if not, decisive enough points win in the end.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, surely, that's got to be kind of a Vegas fight or a New York fight. I really hope it happens in America. It really should be. I'll finish off the video just with my prediction now. You've got me stumbling here because of kind of the prediction you've gone for. I'll pick Ortiz to stop Lubin round 9 or 10. I think Lubin, as we mentioned, he has been stopped before. Ortiz, I'm sure he will. I think he will want to get the stoppage because of how his last fights have gone in terms of they've both been fairly close according to the scorecards. Obviously, they've both gone the distance. But I think this is a proper fight for Ortiz. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm quite confident he'll win, but it's a proper fight for him. It's one worth staying up for if you're based in the area of the world that we are that we're in. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And as I've said, hopefully 2026 can be a fantastic year for the super welterweight division. Niall, good to be joined by you as always. Always enjoy speaking to you, and I will speak to you again soon.
Cheers. Take care.